Ferry Corsten, it has been way too long since we've chatted. It's great seeing you again.
Same here, man. It's been a while, for sure.
Now, we're going to talk all about this What the F tour coming up and talk about new music that you're dropping as well. But since it's been so long since we've caught up, let's get to know Ferry Corsten a little better with Finky's Firsts. So, Ferry, I know you started DJing at 15, and you also started producing at a really young age as well. And then you also studied to be, was it an electrical engineer?
Yeah, I studied to become that, yeah. I mean, the whole DJing thing was just really a thing on the side, like a hobby, really. And which, got out of control and took over my life.
Now, was any of that the first thing you actually wanted to be when you were growing up, when you were a kid?
I don't think so. I mean, when I was really young, so let's say 8, 9 years old, I was very interested in music in general, but I don't think I had any notion of what a DJ was, I don't think, other than a radio DJ maybe, but that I wanted to do something with the music that I was listening to. I definitely had that sort of early dream, I would say. That was so far out of reach, and I never really saw myself do that, to be honest. So it was just fate, I guess,
Well, thank God it actually panned out to what it has panned out to be, such a legendary career. Now, you've got some amazing classics like Fire, Punk, Rock Your Body Rock, Out of the Blue, Beautiful, Made of Love, so many other classics. But do you remember the first song you actually produced?
Yeah. You know what? If I translate the whole thing in English, it's impossible. But, it was okay. So how this thing came about, it was just me plus 3 friends just goofing around in the studio. And I think I just bought my first synthesizer, which was like a realistic sort of like replica of a Mini Moog. And I brought that to the studio. And we had no clue what we were doing, really. We just knew how to start a tape recorder and play a loop that we had in a sampler, and we hadn't linked up. Wow, we knew what we were doing in the sense that, like, all the MIDI stuff we could link up, but this synthesizer had no MIDI, and we figured out yet that CV gate or whatever the mechanism was that triggered the synth existed. So we were basically playing something live. I was playing it. My friend was doing the filtering. Wow, 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 wow. And the drum loops triggered in the sampler, and the other guy was doing effects over that. And we kind of recorded that. And that track, the name is actually Schollevaar Feelings. And what Schollevaar is that's the name of the area where we are from. And we actually were able to release that with, I believe, Avex Records in Japan.
Oh my God.
So, completely random. But yeah, that's the very first thing, dare I say, piece of music.
Isn't it crazy thinking back now with all of the equipment that we have to produce music? It's just insane. Like me thinking back to you guys producing songs back then, it just blows my mind that anything was able to be produced.
Yeah, and the cool thing was that there's so many almost like unwritten rules, if you know what I mean, right? And then you were just doing stuff, and it was just the randomness of it all was what made it so cool. Yeah.
Well, of course, you've got your What the F World Tour that's going to be going on. You're going to be in Tampa at the Ritz Ybor Saturday, May 6th. Do you remember the first show you ever did?
I mean, the first time I played in a club. Yeah, I do remember that. That was in the club that I always used to go clubbing in Nighttown. It's called Nighttown in Rotterdam. It's long gone already, but at the time that was definitely the place for me to go to. And my first ever sort of like DJ set that I was able to do was there. So I felt all cool and stuff. This is my playing. Yeah.
Did all your friends come out to watch?
Yeah. That made it scarier, Yeah, it was awesome.
How did you do?
I think I was pretty proud of how it went, to be honest.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, this was like probably mid-90s somewhere, you know?
That's amazing. Well, Armada just posted amazing old photos and videos of you, Armin van Buuren, and Tiesto making music a long time ago. Do you remember the first time you met Armin and Tiesto?
Yeah, I met Tiesto first because he used to work in the record store where I bought my records, my vinyl. So, and he was basically the one guy that understood the type of music that I was after, and which was we didn't really have a name for it yet. I guess it was very melodic. So, and later on that became trance. But the sort of like the mid-90s stuff that came from Germany and the Frankfurt scene and whatever, you know, that's the stuff that I was looking for. And some of the other guys that were working in that store didn't really get it. They didn't really understand what I was looking for. And Thijs always like, oh, here, this stack of tracks. I'm sure this is something you will enjoy. And he always was right on the money, really, with that one. So we really had a good sort of close connection pretty quickly on. That resulted in us doing Gorilla at some point. Armin, I met at the Dutch sort of equivalent of NAMM. There was one in Holland, and I'm standing by one of the stands, and someone taps me on the shoulder, like, "Hey, are you Ferry?" I say, "Yeah." "Oh, yeah, I'm Armin." And he had just released Blue Fear by then. So I was like, "Oh, Armin from Blue Fear." So yeah, that's how that went.
So who do we have to pray to get a Ferry Corsten, Armin van Buuren, Tiesto track?
That's a good one, yeah. I guess you have to pray to some of the trance gods, but maybe to some of the more pop music gods as well, to let the other one go, you know?
I'm going to include that in my prayers starting tonight.
Yeah.
Now, finally, in Finky's First, in honor of your What the F tour, of course, like I said, you're going to be at the Ritz in Ybor next Saturday, May 6th. You've got such an amazing family, your wife, your two kids, which you're actually on vacation with them now. When was the first time that your kids realized that you are a world-famous DJ producer?
They slowly started. I mean, you know, at home, they see me all the time in studio or whatever with music and or talking about it. So for them, it's like, oh, yeah, sure. That's what my dad does. But then as they went to school and some of the parents of the kids that they were at school with, you know, started telling their kids like, yeah, you know, this and that about, you know, their dad. That's when they came home at some point like, you know what? People really know you, apparently.
Apparently.
The cutest thing was last year when it was Luminosity in Holland. And so I decided to just bring my daughter, who's 14, right? I'm like, okay, come and have a look, you know? So she's sitting with me in the booth, you know, seeing this all happen and whatever. And on the way back, she's like, you know, I know you were like, a well-known DJ. I didn't know you were that good. So, I mean, I just can imagine the goosebumps on my arms were like, you know, like.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
That was so cute. I loved it.
Now, how old is your boy now?
He's 8. He's turning 9 next month or 2 months. Yeah.
So he's going to be coming out to some of your shows very soon, too. Well, let's talk about this What the F tour. Of course, you're going to be at the Ritz in Ybor on Saturday, May 6th. This is a kind of deconstruction and reconstruction of all your old songs and new songs. Where did you get the idea for the What the F tour?
Well, the whole thing stems from fans asking like, hey, when are you doing an open to close set? Like Marcus, you know? And that I know that really is Marcus's thing. So I was like, never really felt much about doing the same thing because I feel like I'm stepping on his terrain. So if I do anything like that, that should be very different. And on the other hand, I also have a lot of people asking me like, hey, when are you doing a producer set again? You know, because over time I've done quite a few of those, and those were always really, really good. And then it sort of like clicked. We're like, okay, I've been producing music since God knows how long, you know, and I have so much music. I can easily fill 7-8 hours doing my own warm-up, peak time, and whatever, the big grand finale. Plus, I have, the monikers I still work with today, Goriella, System F, obviously Ferry. So you can actually really just play with that, Just I've produced music all within sort of like the trance genre, but there's some house, there's some almost like some techno flavor here and there, some electro stuff. There's but all very melodic, so it all gels together. But it is essentially all very different. And I was like, okay, what if I just do that and play all this stuff that people may not know that it's me behind it, and I see this guy on the dance floor with a look on his face like, what the and that's how they came about, like, what the but the Ferry, of course, So yeah, that's what the F is more like. Oh, I didn't know he did that one also, this track. So that's how the whole thing came about. It was probably around 2018. I remember it was sort of like Miami conference or the Winter Music, the Music Week, right? When I stumbled across that idea, I was like, okay, let's play with it, this idea a bit, and see how we can make it work. Yeah.
Now, I know you've been doing shows obviously for a long time, but did you have to train your body going from like a normal DJ set, which is like an hour and a half, 2 hours, to doing 8 hours?
I don't really think so. No, I mean I've done longer sets as well. Not. I mean, back in the day, I've done a few 8-hour sets as well. Sort of like easing into it, with the 6-hour sets here and there. Some venues open 10 o'clock, done at 4. So those were doable, but like Singapore was 8 hours. What I was more worried about is like, okay, how I'm really I may think I have enough music, but how am I really going to fill that whole thing in a very creative way, and not just bang track after track. And that's why we came up with the whole idea of like, okay, maybe some different edits. And then I realized, like, look, when I was putting my whole set together in a way, like all the stuff all the playable stuff, right? I mean, there's a certain, if I go back in time, there's a certain cutoff point, which would be 98. And anything before that is probably, a little too far back. But I was like putting the playable stuff together, and I realized like I still have way more than 8 hours. So maybe I can just like, I don't know, put some stuff together, consolidate a few tracks together, as in like making mashups where 2-3 tracks are doing one thing. And when you're in the audience, you do still have the sense of like, oh, you played that track. But for me, it's basically one track, and it only takes 5 minutes of prime real estate time, in my set. So I could just cram 3 into 1, and it makes it just more fun as well. So
that is going to be an absolutely incredible experience. Can't wait to see that live. Of course, you also have brand new music, Connect. Where did this song come from? How was that born?
Connect is it's sort of like, I guess, I don't really want to go grab back to the whole COVID thing, but at some point during COVID, I think you do get, that was for a lot of us, was like a reflect sort of moment, connecting again with yourself instead of just with the world that pushes you in all directions, right? And that's basically also where, this is sort of like the new single of an upcoming album. This is the new type of sound. I'm connecting also in a different way with music. It's not anymore like super duper trancy. There's like I said earlier, also with earlier stuff that I've done. I've always done some houseier stuff, some techier stuff, some, I don't know, any other genres really, but all heavily musical, very instrumental and melodic. So this is basically the new step in the new Ferry direction.
Awesome. Well, can't wait to hear the album when that comes out. That is going to be incredible. It's going to be great seeing you in town. FERRY CORSTEN, thank you so much for your time. Awesome catching up with you again.
Absolutely. Pleasure again.